it's easy to think about encouragement as an entirely positive force in society, in our personal, private, and even political lives. You may know people, you may have friends and family who suffered their whole lives due to lack of encouragement. You may have friends and family who say, when they reflect back on their own lives, if only someone had encouraged me, then I could have pursued my passions, or I would have devoted myself more to this art form or this creative project or this hobby, or even just a different job or career path, or they would have enrolled in something else in college. They would have gone back to school and taken new college courses and started a new career. If only someone had encouraged them. But already, in this positive assessment of encouragement, we start to get a sense of the danger that's hidden within this phenomenon, right? Have you ever had a friend who was really devoted to doing stand-up comedy? And they have friends and family encouraging them, saying, oh yeah, you're hilarious, you should do it. And they're putting all their time and energy and all their hard work into trying to get a career as a comedian going. And the reality is, they're terrible at stand-up comedy. They may be terrible just for objectively real, obvious reasons that anyone and everyone could agree with, or it may be that they have a sense of humor that incredibly few people share. Not even 1% of people. It's 1 in a million people share their sense of humor. But here on YouTube, there on Instagram, on Twitter, maybe they have just a few dozen followers who really share their sense of humor. Maybe they're just a few dozen people writing into them saying, you're hilarious, stick with this, do it. Maybe they're getting that encouragement over the internet, even though every time they go to do a stand-up comedy night at a live club, right, like before a live audience in the city they're living in, reaction is terrible, nobody laughs. And think about the mindset people get into. This is especially common with left-wing people, and I live my life surrounded by left-wing people. Love you, love the left wing, I love it. I'm vegan, everyone I know is left wing. Everyone's further to the left than I am, all right? Imagine the kind of excuses people make. Oh, well, on the internet, these people encourage me. They appreciate my sense of humor. But, in this small town, these people, they're just not sophisticated enough to appreciate me. The problem is just people in this city. The problem is just people at this particular comedy club. Or even, the problem is just this capitalist system. Left wing is rolls heavy on that, right? Where people want to ignore the judgment of the free market. People want to ignore commerce and what that really means, what the implications are, even for your comedy career. Just think, Hollywood, these people are just obsessed with money. It's just capitalism. It's just the free market. No, man, they don't appreciate my art. They don't appreciate my sense of humor, my comedy, right? People really cultivate this mentality. They commit to it, and they live that lie, right? They build up their own sense of superiority over the judgment of the audience. And no, homie, no. If you're a comedian, you have to love the audience. That's what you have to live for, right? You have to be motivated by making those people laugh. You have to bring your sense of humor down to their level. You have to make your joke work in a way they can understand. It's all about that. You have to be more commercial than Hollywood. You have to be more motivated by money, by caring about the audience. That's the audience you're going to cater to and pursue and so on, right? All right, that's comedy as an example. It's even easier to understand what I'm talking about here, the dangers of encouragement with, something like modeling, being an actor. What if you have a friend and they're trying to do modeling and they may even be paying a lot of money for that, to try. And it's like, they just don't have that pretty a face, and maybe they're putting a huge amount of effort into getting in shape at the gym, but they never really get in that great shape. And it's like, maybe modeling isn't for you, or maybe you should have other priorities in your life so that at least this fantasy you have of being a model is a lower priority and isn't dominating and destroying your life. And those same people may turn around and say to you in anger, why didn't you encourage me? Why don't you just tell me I'm beautiful? Why don't you just tell me I'm talented, right? And again, that person may have an Instagram where every day people are telling, you could be a young woman, every day people are telling her how beautiful she is. There are people trying to sleep with her or whatever. That's like, well, yeah, okay, to that guy, you're beautiful, or you're beautiful enough for some random strangers on the internet to try to hook up with you, right? Doesn't mean you get to have a modeling career. I mean, look, life is unfair. The modeling industry, especially unfair, okay? This is not a meritocracy modeling. No, there's no delusion. This is based on merit or strength of character or hard work, okay? Randomly, some people are born with facial features and a body type that makes money at modeling, and most of us are not. And if you don't have it, you can't fake it. So this is even more extreme than talking about comedy, okay? I've made videos on the past that reflect, in many ways, I'm a left-wing person. Like, I'm for gay rights and veganism and ecology. And I have a lot of things in common with the left wing. I have a lot of things in common with Bernie Sanders. But there are some ways in which my values, my political program, are more conservative or more stereotypical of a conservative person. And that includes that I'm really willing to take seriously the judgment of the free market. I don't just discount and discard and disregard the whole world of commerce as if it's meaningless. You know what? This is a good point. This is a good point, though, to answer that. I didn't think I was going to mention this in the video. When I was a kid, when I was a young teenager, maybe 15, 16, I read a book on the theory and philosophy of art. I could name the book, and I choose not to. And the author of that book put forward the idea that art, by definition, his definition of art, this author, art was precisely what you didn't do motivated by money. So his rationale was this. You can see a beautiful poster advertising soap, and the poster, they may have paid an artist or a team of artists. It may be incredibly well painted, it may be incredibly beautiful, but that's not art from his perspective. That's just illustration. They're a paid illustrator doing an illustration for an advertisement. Whereas a painter who paints a picture that's not motivated by money, he has whatever. I remember the guy said, look, it doesn't matter what his artistic vision is. It doesn't matter if it's political or personal. Like, he may just be painting a picture of a beautiful woman because that to him is what's beautiful. He wants to paint that or whatever. Whatever his motivations are, the theory in this book, the philosophy was, art begins, in his view, precisely where the commercial instinct ends. It's precisely what you're not doing for money. And I really thought about that when I was a teenager. And I think I found that convincing at like 15, 16. But then when I was more mature, I realized, no, that's 100% wrong. And that's really a kind of insidious form of left-wing propaganda or bullshit. The struggle of the artist is precisely in understanding and profoundly accepting that art is what you do for an audience. Art is what you do, indeed, to earn money, for money, in as much as you are a professional artist. That's exactly when it's not a hobby anymore, right? When you commit to make Star Wars, right? Yes, it's an art form. It's not an art form despite the profit motive. It's an art form precisely because the production of art is for an audience. It's for reaching a large audience, right? Okay, so you have to have the compatibility of commerce and the creative arts to really understand either one, and you have to have this really profound appreciation for the judgment of the free market, for the audience, and so on and so forth. Does this mean that there has never been a great movie that failed to find its audience, or that there's never been a great work of art where the audience never happened to find it? Of course not, right? But again, my view of the world begins with taking that relationship between the creative artist and the audience much more seriously than a stereotypical left-wing person, because it's so easy for them to get into just demonizing capitalism and the free market, proceeding from the assumption that art shouldn't be about earning money at all, that art shouldn't be about catering to the audience, reaching out to the audience at all, right? So look, somebody wrote into me saying that he feels I shouldn't be making YouTube videos on popular topics right now. I shouldn't be making videos arguing about video game addiction, arguing against video game addiction. He feels I shouldn't be making videos arguing about Anissian and other YouTube personalities and drama and so on. These are, of course, my most popular videos he's talking about. He thinks I should put all that away, and he really feels it's important and meaningful for me to just be making videos about American politics and European politics. Now, he says a bunch of flattering things. He says encouraging things, right? But it's in precisely this sense that he's wrong, right? Just look at my channel. My channel got, in the last 90 days, 200,000 views. 200,000 views in the last 90 days. And the average viewer watched 3 videos on my channel. That's the more flattering statistic, right? People come to my channel and they watch my videos, not despite the popular videos you mentioned, because of them, right? I mean, like, let's face facts here, guys. Look at the front page of my YouTube channel. People are actually coming to my channel to hear me call Vegan Gains an idiot, to hear me call Anissian an idiot, to hear me call Jordan Peterson an idiot. I think that would fall into the category of things this guy's talking about, right? And then some of those people will listen to me talk about the politics of China, or the politics of the United States, or the politics of Europe. Some of them will get a little bit interested in my perspective on politics or other things, right? But my videos about politics are the least popular videos on my channel. My videos about Bernie Sanders, and I say again, I would vote for Bernie Sanders if I'm not American, but if I were American, I'd vote for Bernie Sanders. However, I'm a critic of Bernie Sanders. I have a nuanced set of critiques of where he's wrong, where he's dishonest, where he's inaccurate, or, okay? I'm not an uncritical supporter of Bernie Sanders, but I would vote for the guy, especially given the current alternatives. No, those are my least popular videos. There's no audience for that, right? When people offer you encouragement, don't be encouraged. Think analytically. Think sympathetically. Sympathy is an analytical tool. Sympathize with the audience, all right? People don't want to hear what I have to say about politics, or if they do want to hear what I have to say about politics, it's only because they already have some connection to my personality. They have some respect for me because they've heard me talk about veganism, or in some cases because they heard the videos I did on Game of Thrones. That was a mainstream TV show a couple years ago. There were a bunch of people who heard what I said about Game of Thrones, and then they got interested in hearing what I said about politics and other topics, right? That's the reality of what's going on here on YouTube, okay? But you have to take seriously the judgment of the free market and adjust your motivations accordingly, okay? It's just not true that I'm someone who's hilarious, but, I'm performing at one stand-up comedy club where the audience doesn't find me funny, okay? I have a very, very peculiar sense of humor that a very, very small percentage of people, react to positively. I'm somebody who has, an analytical view of politics that a very small number of people appreciate and that positively influences the lives of that very small number of people, okay? But don't get it twisted. What this person is saying to me that I should devote my time to, he is 180 degrees wrong, right? Encouragement. People need encouragement. People crave encouragement, even for things like studying Chinese as a language, even for things like vegan activism. I understand that, all right? There's a deep human need for encouragement, and some people need it from their parents, and some people need it from their colleagues, their classmates, their contemporaries. Some people need it from an audience or what have you. But in the 21st century, with the profound reorganization of the relationship between performer and audience, creative person and audience, okay, whatever kind of performance you're in, whatever kind of authorship you're in, as never before, there's a kind of onus on me to refuse to be encouraged just because one person in a million on YouTube or one person in a million on Instagram or Facebook sees my political content and thinks, wow, this is really valuable. This is what you should devote your time to. No. If the videos I were making about politics were valuable, then I would be making money doing them. Take that seriously. The commercial failure of those videos, the fact that it is not worth $100 a month for me to upload YouTube videos about politics, that is a kind of judgment from the audience. That is a kind of judgment from the free market that people are very well rehearsed in rationalizing and dismissing, but that I'm saying to you now, you and I both should learn to take very seriously.